a tutti. Welcome to another edition of Italian America Long Island. My name is Dave Anthony Setteducati. Today we have a wonderful guest. He's a very accomplished singer. He studied in Italy for 10 years. He's returned to his home of New York to be with us, luckily. He's sung for many celebrities, such as Matilda Cuomo, the mother of the governor. And he's worked as an Italian singer and an American singer for many bands on Long Island. He's also been a wonderful studio singer, doing a lot for commercials and jingles. You may have even heard him already and not even known it was him. I'm talking about my good friend, Mr. Ben Phillip. Ben, welcome to the show.
Grazie.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your Italian heritage, Ben?
Well, my parents are Italian American. Their parents were Italian. They came from Italy. They came from Palermo, Sicily. And they brought all those traditions here to America. My grandfather was a cabinet maker, which is kind of like a fancy word for a carpenter, but they're very accomplished. So he had this skill that he was able to bring here to the States. And so they moved to Brooklyn, New York. And in fact, he did well enough to buy a brownstone. And all his children, when they got married, they all lived in the brownstone. So he had all his children in there. And in fact, they had 8 children. His parents had 8 children. My grandfather had 8 children. One of them was my father. And then my mother also came from Palermo. Her family came from Palermo as well. And my grandma had 8 children as well. And a lot of kids. A lot of pasta fazool, a lot of fun, and a lot of love and warmth.
And so you have a lot of aunts and uncles.
A lot of aunts and
uncles.
A
lot of cousins.
Many cousins.
So who would you say were some of your favorite relatives when you were growing up? Your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, any that come to mind?
Well, my Uncle Charlie and my Aunt Lily were very funny because they would put on skits. They were the kind of people that when they went to a party, you know, they would be out there and they'd be doing skits. He would do Jackie Gleason and she would do Lucille Ball, and they were hysterical. So I always remember them doing that, and it was really great.
So you get a little bit of your entertainment background.
Absolutely. They were animated people. They were really fun. Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what it was like to have all of those relatives? Tell us a little bit about the Italian traditions you had, like your holidays, things like that. What was that like?
Well, the holidays were like every Italian-American family, a tremendous amount of food. A lot of people, like you'd have over on a Sunday, say 30 people. You know, Sunday dinner was a big deal. Everybody would show up on Sunday. Right? My mother used to do it a lot because we had a big house in Belmore. In fact, I come from Belmore. From Brooklyn to Belmore. I was a year and a half when we moved to Belmore, so I really don't remember Brooklyn at all. You know, because I was born in Brooklyn. I was born there. So in Belmore, we had a big house.
So they used to come out to your house. Big thing.
Oh, forget it. It was like so much food. You would think what was going on. It was just Sunday dinner. But everything was homemade pasta and meatballs and sausages and cheeses and forget about it. And then people would bring all the desserts, like from Brooklyn. And like if somebody came from Brooklyn or Queens or wherever, Staten Island, they would go to a bakery that was near their home, and they would bring like these really special treats for us. So it was great.
How wonderful! Yeah, there was specialty Italian bakeries,
and it was funny because they'd get into arguments too. They talk about something, and there'd be a little argument, and it was just funny. It was funny to experience as a very young person. And then I had aunts who would sing and dance too. I had other aunts from my mother's side, and they would get up and start singing and dancing, and my father would look. It was great. It was great.
What a wonderful memory.
Yeah, it was great.
Ben, as a good paisano, you got any Italian songs for us?
I got 2 I'd love to do. Mala Femmina and Al Di Là.
Oh, I know them both.
There you go.
All right, let's do it.
All righty. Se avesse fatto nato che l'ha fatta me, sto modo avesse acceso, tu vuoi sapere perché in cavasta d'era femmina come te, non c'è una sta per noi, onesta come me, femmina, tu sei una mala femmina, chi sto che ha fatto chiagnere, lacrime ne fame da. Oh femmina, se tu per giorno vibra, in tu zaccata l'anima, non posso più campare. Femmina, si dolce come zucchero, però sta faccia d'angelo, di sera ben granata. Femmina, tu sai che bella femmina, ti voglio bene, ti odio, non ti posso scordare. Maestro! Femmina, sei dolce come zucchero, però sta faccia d'angela, ti serve a penganare. Oh, femmina, ti peggio come vibra, in tu zaccata l'anima, non posso più campare. Oh, femmina, tu sai che bella femmina, ti voglio bene, ti odio, non posso scordare. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Al di là del bene più prezioso ci sei tu, al di là del sogno più ambizioso ci sei tu, al di là delle cose più belle, al di là delle stelle ci sei tu, al di là ci sei tu per me, soltanto per me, al di là del mare più profondo ci sei tu, al di là dei limiti del mondo ci sei tu, al di là delle cose infinite, al di là della vita ci sei tu, al di là ci sei tu per me, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Maestro! Al di là delle cose più belle, al di là delle stelle ci sei tu, al di là ci sei tu per me, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, al di là.
All right, terrifico. So do you, in your home now, do you try to maintain any of the Italian traditions?
You know, it's kind of yes and no. I mean, we're not like that. We don't do those sorts of big dinners. Like I'll have my children over, you know, for the holidays, and occasionally they'll come over on the weekend. But I have one daughter in Hoboken. So it's very difficult for her to come out all the time. And my other daughter's in Seaford, and she does come over, but we don't maintain as many of the traditions that we used to. But we still, we still make the food and everything.
Right. You
Yeah.
still eat Italian.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And but it's difficult because you don't have 8 children.
Right. I don't have 8 children, and it's just different. Now people kind of stay within their own families more. I think back in the day, people would get together more. It seemed like to me, like all the uncles and aunts would come out, and
Yes.
it was a thing where they'd go to someone's house on a Sunday, and they went there on Sunday, and they went to another home for Easter, and somebody else's house for Christmas. And Christmas Eve, New Year's, and all that stuff. I mean, they would have like a certain place where we would go to someone's home on certain holidays. That's kind of broken down a bit because a lot of my relatives also have passed away,
Yes.
so they're not around. And their children, a lot of them moved out of the area, or they don't really do it because, they don't really keep those traditions as much as maybe their parents did. I still see my cousins, but we see each other, sporadically, like for a dinner or for a holiday here and there. But it's not like every Sunday. It used to be every Sunday.
Every Sunday. Well,
That was
a lot of that is society. Now,
Yeah.
back then, everything was closed on Sunday.
Right, exactly.
The only thing you could do was socialize.
Yeah, right.
And so, people kept to their families,
Right.
stayed with their family, and that was their day for Sunday.
Yeah,
But
it
now,
was nice.
everybody's working.
Exactly.
Sunday is a big shopping day now.
Exactly.
Have you got another song for us, Ben?
How about The Way You Look Tonight, Sinatra?
Yeah, I know it. Okay.
Someday, when I'm awfully low, when the world is cold, I will feel a glow just thinking of you and the way you look tonight. Ooh, yes, you're lovely, with your eyes so warm and your cheeks so soft. There's nothing for me but to love you and the way you look tonight. And with each word, your tenderness grows. It's tearing my fears apart. And that wrinkles your nose, well, it touches my foolish heart. Well, you're lovely. Now don't you ever change. Keep that breathless charm. Won't you please arrange it? Because I love you and the way you look tonight.
So, when you did Christmas Eve, did you do the 7 fishes?
Yes, we did all of that. All those traditional things. It was like, everything was done the way it was supposed to be done.
Yeah. Wow, wonderful.
Yeah.
You've had the experience that's kind of unique. You spent 10 years in Italy.
Yes, I did.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your experiences?
Well, I went to school.
Did you live in Rome?
I lived in Rome, yes I did. I lived in Rome for part of the time, and I lived outside of Rome in L'Aquila. It's a beautiful town which is actually northeast of Rome, and it's a beautiful ski town. And in fact, unfortunately, about 4 or 5 years ago, they had a major earthquake. You might have heard of it.
Yes.
L'Aquila, Italy, had a major earthquake. But it was one of those towns. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous place. So I lived in both places. I went back and forth. But it was an incredible experience because the culture in Italy is so unique. The people are warm. Men walk down the street arm in arm. There's food everywhere. There's music everywhere. Like you would go out on a typical day, and you go into the square, And there could be like a band set up there, a choral group set up there, or something set up. So it was always music, food, warm people, a lot of love in the air, and very, very romantic in a certain way, you know. And I lived there for 10 years, and a lot of that I carry with me, you know. So it was a great experience.
So I imagine you're very fluent in Italian.
Yes, yes.
You're very fluent in it.
Si.
You have to be.
Yes, yes, I am.
All right, wonderful. Now, what would you say is some of these superior aspects of Italian culture compared to American culture?
Well, you know, we got back to the family thing we were talking about with the dinners and all that. They do that today in Italy. In other words, it's still a big deal for the families to be very, very close-knit. And I don't just mean the immediate family. Like we do in America now, it's basically immediate family. They have the whole extended thing. They still do the big dinners with the entire family and all the food and all of that. So they're still doing those things today.
And that's a little bit more to your preference.
Yeah, it is because it's, you know, it keeps you in touch with who you are and your friends and your family and the people that you love, you know.
Yeah,
So
and they're always around.
Yeah.
So that warmth comes through. And what do you think is superior about American culture?
Well, American culture is, you know, superior because of all the things we have, you know, all of the technology and the amenities, and because our services work a little better. They have a socialized country there, you know. You know, socialized medicine, I don't want to get into that. But they have socialized medicine, which works, by the way. It works.
Okay.
Everybody would, if it was here, it would be like everybody had Medicare.
Yeah.
You know, like a single payer,
Right.
which is like, I know a lot of people would like that here. So they have the single payer system, which works, except that you might have to wait a while to see your doctor. Like you'll show up at the place you're supposed to because you choose a doctor that's close to you, and you might have to wait an hour or more to see the physician. Whereas here, you know, here you can see him.
Oh, here you have to wait 3-4 hours to see.
Yeah, well, you know, but it's just a little more difficult, and also some of the stores might close down, like especially in the summertime. They, you know, they have this thing where they actually shut down a lot of their businesses and industry in the summer. You know, Ferragosto they call it.
Sure.
And they go away, and everybody's in Italy seems to have another house. I don't know how they do, but they all have two houses. They have one in the city, and they have one down by the ocean. So that's what they do. The summer wind came rolling in from across the sea. It lingered there to touch your hair and walk with me. All summer long we sang a song, and then we strolled that golden sand. Two sweethearts in the summer wind, like painted kites, those days and nights, well, they went flying by. Here the world was new beneath a blue umbrella sky, but softer than a piper man, one day he calls to you. I lost you to the summer wind. Well, the autumn wind and the winter winds, they have come and gone, but still the days, those lonely days, go on and on. But guess who sighs his lullabies through nights that never end? My fickle friend, the summer wind. Warm summer wind, the summer wind.
Nice note on the end. I like that.
pulling all the stops for you, baby.
You are, man.
Because I love you. Because I love you.
Really good, man.
So literally for a month or two, you may not be able to say buy a certain product or something that you want. So it's different. It's much more about enjoying life and family than it is here. Here we unfortunately are very, very much locked into our business and our jobs because we have to, because it's very expensive. So
Yeah,
we have
everything is ambition here.
Everything is ambition, and they don't have that there. A lot of the people, they work for the state, for example, so you're never going to lose your job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just a different structure, and it's very livable. I was there 10 years. You know, my daughter, one of my children was born in Italy, Jenna, who's my youngest child, was born there, and we had the baby there, and it didn't cost anything to have a child there. So those are the things. You don't pay for much over there. Like, they pay in taxes, they pay high taxes,
Right.
but pretty much everything's covered. Whereas here, you gotta make money,
Yeah.
you know.
So let's get back to your singing. You told us about your family and
Right.
your sister.
Right.
Now, how about you? How did you get started singing? Did you study?
No, what I did was basically I was a self-taught singer. I was in chorus when I was very young. You know, they had chorus. You'd start school and right away there was choir or chorus. So the first thing I did, first time I was able to, I got into chorus, and I took chorus all the way from whatever it was, fourth grade through high school. And I was fortunate enough. I got a lot of solos and the shows and the Christmas shows and all of that. And I also did a lot of plays. I was also very, very big with performance. I was in a lot. I've probably done about 20 plays around Long Island in different places, like in Merrick and different
Community theater.
Community theater, regional theater. I've done a lot of that because I also like to act.
Okay.
I love to act. So, and now my performance, I try to like combine the acting. It comes out of me. Like, in other words, if I sing a song, I try to really feel and live the song so that you feel it, so that the person listening to it gets a real image of what I'm trying to do. You know?
Do you remember the first professional gig you had?
Yes, I was 12 years old. I was 12 years old and I had my first band. And I remember it because we used to, even back then, I think at about 11 years old, 10, 11 years old, I started to fool. I played a little guitar and I had a couple of friends in the neighborhood in Belmore, I'm talking about in Belmore. And we used to get together, you know, and we used to play in their garage, whatever, play a little music. And all of a sudden, one day, one of my friends said, hey, we're going to have a party over Drew. This guy's name was Drew. Drew's going to have a party Saturday. Do you guys want to play? We're like, yeah. Yeah. So that was the first gig. So we came, we had a drummer, piano player, guitar, bass, and me. And we went and we played. We played for a couple hours. And we loved it because we just had a good time, you know.
And there were no DJs back then.
No, there were no DJs.
If you wanted music, you had to have a
You
real
had to
musician.
have music, yeah. Yeah.
Those were the good old days.
DJs have taken a lot of business away from life.
They certainly have. So, who are some of your favorite singers? Who do
Oh
you
my
like?
God. Sinatra, obviously. Sinatra, Bennett, Barbara Streisand. Fly me to the moon, let me swing among the stars. We will see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me. Fill my heart with song, let us sing forevermore. You are all I long for, you're all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, baby, I love you. Back up in the day. be true. In other words, in other words, in other words, baby, I love you.
What are some of your most memorable gigs that you've done? And you've done a lot. So what are
Well,
some
the one
of
for
the things
Matilda Cuomo's 80th birthday. I got a call from an excellent guitarist, Joe Carbone, who's one of the best jazz guitar players on Long Island. And they said, Ben, we have a very special gig coming up. I said, who's it for? He goes, the Cuomos. I go, what do you mean by the Cuomos? I mean, the whole family. He goes, no, they're having a party. They're having his 80th birthday party. And we got the job, and they asked for a guy who could sing Sinatra and Bennett. So we thought of you. I said, I'd love to do it. So we go to this large, huge house, and there's all the Secret Service outside. And the entire private road was filled with black limos, and you see the guys standing outside the cars. And finally you get to the house, this big, beautiful house. And I'm like, oh my God. And I walk in, I have my case and everything. I walk in, and from the right I see the yard. And in the yard, the whole family is out there, maybe like 50 people. We're talking all the children, the parents, and all of their children. And I see the children from Kennedy when, Andrew was married to one of the Kennedys, Kerry Kennedy. So his children with her. It's funny because you see all these Italian-looking kids and these two Irish-looking kids.
Right.
So I'm watching, and I go, wow, and I just was mesmerized. And then I started walking up the steps, and all of a sudden, Andrew Cuomo walks up to me. He goes, who are you? And I said, oh, I'm Ben. I'm going to sing for your mom's party today. He goes to me, any good? I go, I think I'm all right. He laughed, and he goes, hold on, I want you to be my girlfriend. And it was Sandra Lee.
Oh my!
So she came over. She gave me a handshake. So it was kind of cool. And then of course I was speaking with the father and the mom, and it was by the way, lovely family. Absolute. It made me proud to be Italian American, to see in a sense like Camelot. You know, for the Italian Americans.
Absolutely.
Total class. They were so warm to us, even though we were the musicians. So I'm singing, and the Cuomos were as close to me as you are practically. So I'm singing right to these people, and it was wonderful.
That's nice.
It was wonderful.
That's a nice thing.
But every Friday night, folks, if you want to come hear me, I'm at Perun Angelo in Montauk. That's every Friday night. Perun Angelo off Willow Street.
Fantastic. You're such a great singer and such a wonderful man.
Thank
I can
you.
feel that Italian warmth. I want to thank you.
Thank you, sir. I love you.